So with our historic journey coming to a close, it's time to report on our last and most important event, the Battle of Cannae. It's the reason I really got into this whole video diary. Now the Battle of Cannae took place in 216 BC during the Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage. The battle actually took place in southeast Italy, but we're reporting here from Rome for two reasons. Number one, we're not going to southeast Italy, but two, more importantly, this is where the effects of the battle were really felt. To give you a little bit of background first though, Rome and Carthage were the two great powers in the ancient West. War between them was inevitable because of that. The First Punic War began 50 years before the first one after a small incident was sparked. It went on for 23 years and Rome came out victorious. Now the term Punic is a Roman interpretation of Phoenician, as Carthage was a Phoenician colony. And it's one of the few examples in history in which a colony became a greater and more important power than the parent. Other examples being the United States and England, as well as Syracuse and Athens. Now Hannibal the Great was a leader of the Carthage army. His father was also a field commander during the First Punic War, and he was born with a fiery hatred for Rome. So in 218 BC, from Carthage-controlled Spain, he launched an attack on Roman cities against the will of the Carthage Senate. Thus the Second War began. This is where he had his historic journey from Spain to Italy across the mountains with his elephants, and he delivered two crushing blows to the Romans, the Battle of Trivia, as well as the ambush of Tresmian. Now after two humiliating defeats, the Romans decided against all-out confrontation with Hannibal. They used the strategy of attrition come up with Fabian, who was a dictator at that time actually. But after a while the Romans grew tired of this strategy. They were Romans, they wanted battle. And so thus began the Battle of Cannae. The Romans had 85,000 men, Carthage only had 40,000. The Roman formation was similar to what they had used to before, akin to the Greek phalanx. They had their most hardened infantry in the center, and the flanks were used by the cavalry. To counter this, Hannibal knew that the Romans would charge hard in the center to break the Carthage lines. So what he did was he put his weakest men in the middle and his cavalry on the flanks. So when the Romans advanced in the middle, the Carthage infantry in the middle simply melted away. The Romans advanced and they were essentially encircled, trapped with little maneuvering room by the Carthage army. What followed is one of the bloodiest battles in history and the worst defeat of Rome. 50,000 Roman soldiers were killed, one consul, ruler of Rome, was killed, as well as 80 senators. This sent shockwaves throughout the entire empire. Rome's best army was defeated. A fifth of their adult population lay dead after 3 battles with Hannibal. Now, although this battle didn't determine the outcome of the war, it instilled in the Romans something they had never felt before: fear. Even after the battle, and long after this time, anytime disaster struck Rome, the Roman senators would yell, "Hannibal's at the gates." He was that powerful of a figure of terror for the Romans. Now this battle also goes down as one of the greatest tactical defeats in history, as well as one of the maneuver Hannibal used, the double envelopment, or the pincer attack essentially, is also remembered as one of the greatest battlefield maneuvers of all time. This idea that a whole army, twice your size, could be encircled and destroyed in a single move with total annihilation made Cannae a byword for military success. Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Supreme Allied Commander of the forces for World War II, himself said, "Every ground commander seeks the battle of annihilation. So far as conditions permit, in modern warfare, he emulates the Battle of Cannae." So while the battle was won, Carthage went on to lose the Second Punic War, they lost the Third Punic War, and eventually fell off the plane of existence. But Carthage will always be remembered for two things: Hannibal the Great and the Battle of Cannae. Thanks.